it's a lot. I know the high school kids would compete in those different categories. It's a lot to learn.
Wonderful.
Getting lots of phone calls. I wonder if people are trying to call again about something.
Your warranty.
My
Yeah,
warranty's
yeah,
up.
yeah.
It's getting old.
You know, it must be every time you license a vehicle.
Yeah, every
Well,
time there's another.
Because I got one for, warranty thing for Merle's old car, so, yeah.
I saw the car at Hy-Vee the other night.
Oh, did you?
I said to my wife, hey, there's Merle.
Yeah, we entertained getting a specialized license paid for it and put Merle on.
Oh.
Because the kids right away, they call the car Merle, so they don't say.
Oh, that's cute.
We got one old Buick and then this Buick, and they don't call this one Buick anything. They call that one Merle. They call the other one the Buick. So.
Just a family of cars.
Yeah, no, yeah, we got a family of old leaders.
Got his ride, huh?
I'm like when you buy a farm, why do you always call it the Johnson farm? The people who owned it before, instead of
Well, I still call Bin Site Farm the Everhart Farm.
the Everhart, well, we
That was
call
back
that,
in the
we
early
call that
70s.
Derby's bin site, so. You- Yep.
Yeah, it's that's the way you do it though. If it's current landowner, you can't understand, but some of it goes way back.
We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Consider for approval the minutes and agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda.
I'll second that.
Get a motion from Jensel and a second from Smith to approve the minutes and agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 9 a.m., Maryland, Cleveland, Veterans Affairs to discuss with possible action company credit card.
I had my first Board of Commissioners meeting on October 21st, and we discussed the need for there to be a credit card just for the Veterans Affairs Department. They were all in favor of it, and it is my understanding that I then need to come to you and present to you the need for a credit card. The basic reason why I need one is because of the trainings I go to. For example, I just submitted almost $600 to be reimbursed from my fall training, and then my spring training will be right around that amount as well. And then the national training, which I'm scheduled to go to in El Paso, Texas in June, could run upwards of $3,000. So it's a lot for me to personally put on a credit card and then to try to manage the payments. So if I could get one just for the Veterans Department to use for that purpose, it would be very helpful.
I know across the state, probably more of the VSOs have them than don't.
That's
so.
the trend, yes. Chris Oliver is one of the people that's mentoring me, and she said that most of them are using that just because it makes it easier. I still turn in your receipts, but then you can see exactly what's on the credit card and what's been
As long
done.
as you keep all the receipts, and they're all verifiable
Right.
expenses that are acceptable.
Right.
So what you need to do is, in my office, there's a credit card agreement form that you need to go and fill out
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve allowing a company credit card for Maryland, Cleveland for the Veterans Affairs.
I'll second that.
Got a motion from Derby and a second from Smith. Credit card for Maryland, Cleveland at Veterans Affairs. Discussion.
Is that, you'll be the only person to do it?
Yes, I'd be the only person using it, and it would just be for Veterans Affairs.
Basically just for classes.
Classes and training.
For them online.
Right, because like when I had to do my hotel this last time, I did it with my own card because literally there was hardly any rooms left because it's all 99 counties coming. So yeah, it's just to make it easier to do your airline and your hotel. I just paid for my parking with a credit card. So it just makes things a lot easier, streamlined. And then I don't have to juggle my own money.
What kind of a limit will you set on it then?
Our limits are $2,500 for the credit card policy.
And my understanding is that when you get ready to go to class, like at nationals, you like pay your registration, then you pay your airline. So they're broken up. It's not gonna be 1 month on the credit card that's gonna be all the expenses. You know, while I'm there, it'd be my meals and that kind of thing, but
Is there limits on meal expenses?
Yes,
Yes.
that's in the handbook.
That's in the handbook?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're thinking surf and turf, forget it.
yeah.
I can see that gleam in your eyes. It's like, oh, yeah.
I don't know. The surf has gotten cheaper than the turf.
Yeah.
Hearing no further discussion, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you,
Just
Marilyn.
stop in and tell
I'll
Chelsea
do that
about
right
it.
now.
Okay.
Discussion with possible action regarding COVID-19 policies. Julie, are you within earshot?
I am.
I didn't hear her pick up on the phone, so.
I am in person today. Surprise, surprise. The past 14 days, we were at 4.4%. The past 7 days, we're at 5.1%, and we're up 19 cases. In the hospital.
You are the
today-
only participant.
Today, we're at 36, that's up 1, and the ICU is at 9, and they're up 2. Admits in the last 24 hours are at 8, and that's up 4. Our county for vaccination is at 47.6% for full, and I think that's the same as last week. And the state is at 55.2. We are holding our boost clinics on Thursdays and Fridays now. That's half a dose of Moderna, and that's by appointment only. And then our flus are Mondays and Tuesdays by appointment only. We are waiting for Pfizer. They meet today, the 2nd and 3rd, with the ACIPs, for the pediatric dose. That's a 3-step process, and they're in process 2. And then we have, we do have some test kits that we can send in to the state. They just call the office, and if they've been exposed or think they're positive, they can, it's a saliva test, and then they can send that in free of charge. And there's a sheet where they can drop it off.
Do you have those for me for today?
Yeah, I think Allison has some.
Okay, I'll stop by.
Anything else? Do we have any questions for Julie? All right, thanks, Julie.
That,
Consider for approval resolution to approve amended and substituted County Electronic Services System 28E agreement. Right.
This is, well, I think we have to do a resolution and a page for that. You guys got a copy of it?
It's kind of a formality for the Iowa Land Records.
I read the email, it's the same thing I was.
All right.
Need a motion to, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to approve amended and substituted County Electronic Services System 28E agreement.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to approve the amended and substituted County Electronic Services System 28E agreement. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
And then when I need that one back, and then we'll send them all into the Iowa Land Records, and then they will send it out to be recorded.
Discussion regarding American Rescue Plan and TIF. Robert, you had a different idea to look at possibly on this?
Yeah, I've been trying to get as much information as I could about the ARPA funds and use of, and then, of course, TIF. And what I was wondering if you guys would consider is, because TIF requires debt, using the ARPA funds or appropriating ARPA funds for our project as a loan to be paid back at a later date with the TIF funds. I mean, the ARPA funds are there's more projects that are eligible for ARPA than there might be for TIF. And the ARPA funds, we wouldn't actually need those until sometime later next year when construction starts. And at the earliest, let's say the end of April, sometime in April would start. If we paid out bills once a month, we wouldn't, we'd be well into late summer, maybe fall, before we would even need those funds. And you could split the ARPA funds between break it into two allotments, one in the summer, and then the next one maybe around the first of next year. The project's probably going to take a year, if not longer.
I don't think we can borrow from the ARPA funds, though. I think we can borrow from our general basic or our fund.
Why couldn't you borrow from ARPA funds?
Because
I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Is there? I didn't ask anybody else.
you would have to. I
You have
just
to incur
don't.
debt, is what.
Well, for the TIF, you do.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can borrow from the ARPA funds. I
Well,
think you need to find something that you can pay.
One said you can loan money?
Yes. You can, the supervisors can loan money to different entities, nonprofits, as long as they use the funds the way ARPA is intended to be, when they follow the guidelines. Yeah. And I don't know specifically, I don't know why that would preclude, loaning money to the county entity. That would have to ask that question, but it does say in the U.S. Treasury guidelines, it says you can loan those to nonprofits and other entities, and I didn't dig into those and what those are, but as long as the money's being used the way it's supposed to be used.
Why wouldn't you just find a place to spend the ARPA funds and do the loan from the TIF from the general fund?
So if you were to do a loan, then you would do more fundraising to cover the loan then?
Well, yeah, it depends on how much we need. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we know we're gonna need money going forward, for furnishings and different things like that. But my board would like to consider letting bids this winter yet in December. And they have a meeting next Monday. The architect's gonna be there, and the timeline for getting all the bid package back together, again, we're gonna change a few things to try to save some money. Not a lot of major changes, but the engineers and architects need time to get the bid package together if they were to let it in December, with the idea that the project would start in April and sometime in the spring.
Well, in a way, it kind of satisfies a little bit of some of the pushback I've heard since we started talking. You know, there are some people that don't feel like we need to put more money towards the nature center. You know, that we've already put enough. And if it was a loan, it'd probably be more palatable to them.
And those ARPA funds could be used again.
Yeah,
Another,
that's what I was thinking.
assuming that that's an allowable, you know, loan.
I can ask Jamie Cashman.
Sure.
Yeah. I think that'd be a good thing to address and see whether, it'd have to be directly, it'd be a loan to the conservation board, their fund.
When you get the ARPA funds, where do they go? Do they go in the general,
They,
they have their
they're in
own,
their own fund,
own little fund?
yeah.
So we can borrow money out of that fund to another entity. It doesn't seem very clean as far as,
For the reporting side, I just don't see, have you ever loaned yourself money from a grant and then paid it back? I mean, and tried to report on that? That does not sound like fun to me.
No, all our
What would
grants
be
are
the-
invoice
What would be the,
related.
what would be the difficulty in tracking that money? I mean, if you allotted X number of dollars and it was spent on a project that's eligible for the funds, and then those funds are paid back, which apparently that's an allowable usage.
I just don't see why you wouldn't just do it out of the general fund if we're doing TIF and,
Well, it was kind of back and forth last week about one or the other, and I mean, this way those ARPA funds basically are getting used twice.
how am I gonna report it twice in that system? Have you seen the ARPA system, the grant system?
No,
It's not like the easiest thing to navigate.
Is that thing that I had to do too, that report?
No,
That's a
this is
but for
a-
the supervisors to allocate money, it's supposed to be a complicated, I mean, as far as appropriating it for, and we would not actually be receiving any of this money until maybe 9 months from now.
So for, the only urgency for you is more of a commitment from us of providing any possible backfill of some sort in case the costs are too high.
Yeah, and their cost increases are related to COVID and
Yeah.
all that, so.
Well, maybe we should find out from Jamie Cashman first. See
Okay.
what he says about that. Maybe look at it again next week.
It was an interesting concept, though, when you sent it out.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, maybe that can work.
I know your board meets next
Monday morning.
Monday morning, and you've got to make a decision whether you're gonna go forward December with a bid, I suppose.
Yeah, we plan to have the architect either come over or call in. Monday.
What's the cost gonna be incurred for the new bid letting and the architectural
The-
revamps?
The bid letting package is about $5,000.
And will there be more architectural fees with the changes?
Depends on what we do, there'll probably be some. Depends on what kind of changes the board, how many alternates. There's a couple of things that they might decide to change. Can't say right at the moment. They could leave it as it was and go that route, but I think there are a few things. Some electrical, some lighting and things that we can maybe save money on, the roof. Excuse me. Geothermal versus forced air. And we did get some preliminary information on that last February, so we might be able
So
to.
you
use
kinda
that.
know some of the numbers on those things?
Yeah, we've got some of that information, as far as the geothermal versus furnaces and, Elevator. We were talking about potentially just going with an elevator shaft, putting the elevator in later. There's about 100,000 savings there, but that's what I know Harrison County did.
Is the topography such that you could make it so it was still handicapped accessible without having an elevator? We did that at Central Gardens with the pavilion.
Not without going just to one level. Yeah. We talked about that over the winter. Looked at, and there wasn't enough cost savings that wasn't going to help us. We wanted the same square footage, that is.
That's a long path to get around
Yeah.
with the legitimate slope and switchbacks and
Yeah.
to go, drop 8-10 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Yeah. Carla, do you think you could maybe message Cashman this week, so maybe he'd come back with some kind of indication?
Yeah,
I just have an idea at least.
yeah.
Thanks.
Where are you guys at with the American Rescue? Are we made any decisions or?
We're still trying to weigh what we can do with TIF, what we can do with ARPA. That's kind of why we're discussing it now. And it's like, we've talked about the public health building expansion possible. But we'd have to acquire more land to do that, or find a whole other facility or something.
EMS,
EMS is another priority of a lot of constituents,
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
and it isn't acceptable to a certain point. It's acceptable expense.
So what do? We wait to see what Jamie has to say about it and then discuss it again?
Well, from the minutes of were you at the last meeting of the EMS?
Probably was.
I read the minutes. It sounded like they'd come up with some numbers on what ongoing costs would be if we did like, what, a 12-hour day or something? Was it like 400,000?
9 to 9, I think it was.
It seemed, but I don't know if they did they include the, like workman's comp and things like that?
I think we just played with ballpark numbers.
Okay.
Is that just for the labor part side of it?
Because if they, if the ARPA funds funded the capital outlay, we still have to have a cost every year to employ county EMS, paramedics, and EMTs to help fill some of that void that we've got.
I think those voids are gonna get
Worse.
worse and bigger.
I'm hearing it from all over the state. I mean, all over the country, really. Volunteerism is down. COVID didn't help it at all.
That's true.
There is a structure from Thompson that we could possibly add on to save some costs if we could work it out with the city of Thompson. But you're gonna have to have more facility there than what's there. But there's size there that they can use. It's right on the highway.
I would certainly think Thompson would welcome the opportunity.
I think Buffalo Center would too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Just take some of the slack out. I mean, like Nels is gonna benefit from this.
Because the ambulance calls, my wife was up from Sunday morning until Monday night. She had 2 ambulance calls in the middle of the night, so she never did get any sleep Sunday night.
Plus it takes the pressure off of Fort City, who's making all the calls for paramedic service.
I think we just had a call where ours was out and they had to come to Fort City.
See, I'm trying to remember what the estimate on the cost of the equipment was on that. Probably bring it up.
I read it too, but I can't remember.
Seems like it was around 750. There was different options for all the equipment and stuff, I remember.
Yes, today.
There's some pink ones over in this drawer, if you want those.
Well, I like those too. Not partial as long as they work.
And there's no disputing the fact, there's lots of really good places to use. And
$59,000 per employee. I guess that is wages.
But if we look at the ARPA funds, where we go down below where it talks about transport vehicle, response only vehicle,
Yeah.
refunds and transport, so.
Terry,
it's on the wall now.
Okay.
So who came up with most of these numbers, Carly? You
people
were-
who worked with the ambulance
That budget
staff,
is for them.
people who work with it there.
Yeah.
It was not me.
No.
They already have the existing budgets to look at.
Sure.
And they talked about, we talked about the things that they would need in there, and I think that's included in this, the, 65. This is outfitted, so,
So the 200,000 would be overall then? They say that,
where do you see 200,000?
as much as 200,000 transport vehicle.
New as
First
much as
line.
200,000.
Transport vehicle. Under D.
Oh, if it's
Response
new.
only vehicle.
I don't think they were going to be looking at a new one.
So if American Rescue Plan funds are used to start this, what funds keep it going?
Well, that's where you have to have that election. You have to, if you want to be able to do this. So you don't have funds right now to be able to do this. You have to have an election. County has to vote on it. County has to agree
Be able
to,
to levy.
yes.
Right. So, just for anybody watching, everyone watching, so that they know what the process is and what has to happen.
This is gonna cost us per capita probably at least, every year, it's gonna cost $40 per capita. Where right now, our mental health is costing us 35 or whatever, and that's gonna be dropping off in stages, right?
Drop- By 2022, it'll be zero,
Zero.
I believe, yes.
The fiscal year 2022
I believe so,
will be zero.
yes.
So for this year, it's only half of that then?
Um,
Was it 17 this year?
No, it was a little higher than that.
But then, in return, the legislature is not backfilling.
Right.
So we're losing revenues
Yes,
by no backfill.
and we're also losing our fund balance because they're forcing us to spend it down in such a hurry again. And if you use your fund balance for your expenses, then you don't get your tax revenue. So either way, you're out that money. And of course, there is one county that always has a negative fund balance that will get the sponge for that, so. I think the people in Polk County appreciate what we do for them.
So regardless, okay, have we figured out, I don't want to get too far off track here, but have we figured out what our loss of revenue is going to be on the backfill? What is that every year?
No, because they haven't told me how much, are
Wasn't
they taking the whole thing?
Wasn't it in stages?
Well, no, it's in stages that it goes down, but it was, at one time it was 400 and something, wasn't it? Remember right?
Usually I figure all that stuff out when we go to budget, so I haven't really looked at it yet.
Because if we're losing 200,000 in backfill, but gaining, 350,000 in mental health levy drop, then it's, we're gaining something there. But if we're losing 400 to 600,000 in backfill, then it's another story. It's gonna be a hit on the budget.
Seems like our levy was 27.
We've never really counted on the backfill, have we, in the budgeting?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit?
Yep. I usually budget for 3/4 of it.
Okay.
I think the levy should have been about 276,000 for this year. It seems like ours was 27.
The thing about mental health though is it goes in its own fund and you don't account for it anywhere else besides the mental health fund anyway.
Montana's gonna
So-
disappear.
Yeah, but
But it's still,
Still, I mean,
taxpayer sees it.
it all
Yeah.
comes out of the same pot in the end. The county pays for it one way or the other.
So, just back to our discussion, if we were looking at renovating, adding on to the facility up in Thompson, because there was no price tag on that, you're probably gonna have a couple 100,000 at least just to add on, just for a sleeping room and make sure there's enough. You gotta have one more stall for garage, because there's only one stall garage up there.
I thought it was 2.
it's just one.
Is it just one?
But I don't know if
I was
there
by
was
it
2
yesterday.
stalls. No, I think there's only been one stall.
Yeah.
Even when it was a gas station, I think it was just one stall.
What has Thompson decided to use their,
They're doing theirs on water. They're in the middle of the water project now, and they're gonna put it towards their meters, electronic
so
meters.
not anything that they would
And they don't,
consider
and they aren't
using?
getting much
Oh,
comparatively. I think they're only getting 40,000 or something, so it's pretty minimal what they can work with. So say, just ballpark figure, you ended up spending 600,000 altogether in infrastructure, give or take, on the emergency services. And if we're gonna add on to public health,
Do we add on or do we find a new building?
well, it's just, either way, it's gonna cost money. Do you find an existing building? Do we find I've heard, one we were talking about's already been sold.
And there's room there to add on.
Well, we'd have to acquire more land. There's a,
So WCTA owns it?
yeah, we'd have to talk to them, see if they'd be willing to give up part of their
or
switching.
if you used your parking and sort of build on and then use other parking.
I mean, the one thing I have a problem with there is that driveway. Number one, your parking for your handicap is not legitimate.
No.
And, because it's too steep. And you've got that driveway that you're bottoming out in when you go in and out. And it's just not a good deal. So if we had a driveway to the north, and we could acquire land from That would be a better driveway.
So a minimum of 400,000 there,
I would say at least
I think.
$500,000 probably to do it right.
We definitely need a bigger lobby because that's why we have to do appointments. I don't have the space for putting,
Wait.
And it'd be nice
for
to
them to
have,
wait.
probably the lesser the cost would be to have the drive-through vaccination area where you could be undercover at least.
How many square feet do you think? Or you can have an idea.
No, that's not my forte.
I mean, your nurses right now are kind of on top of each other anyway. And
Yep.
They have to have separation for HIPAA violations and,
In COVID, we have to be
Well, even the
certain.
meeting,
It'd be
even
at
the
least
conference
double what
room
you got
is.
now.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. You have to at least double.
You said a building had been sold, was that here in town, or was that?
Yeah, we were looking at the old Hardee's building. But they got sold.
And that's not quite double probably, is it, space-wise?
It was bigger, but it had a lot more space to work on. And it's more flat. It's got 2 driveways, 3 driveways.
And a drive-through.
Yeah, it has the drive-through. That's why I was kind of interested in it.
That would have been nice.
But, because we've looked before
Right.
for other facilities, because you rent space up here.
Right.
On Main Street. But even if we were to, buy another one and fix it up or build a new one, you have to front the cost and then turn around and try and sell the other facility. That'll be on another budget for income. There's gonna be a lot out front there.
So do we have a scheduled meeting planned with the ARPA group that was gonna get together? I mean, do we,
Well, several, I think most of the group is here.
this is the meeting,
I
huh?
think the most of us all do, I think.
Since we're all on the committee now, that's why we kind of put it on our agenda to
Yes.
discuss this. Is there anybody missing that's on the committee?
Let's see, let's-
Oh, Melissa.
Oh,
Is Sue on it? County attorney?
One of the other discussions we had, you brought up about electronic scanning and things like that, all our records, so it's more accessible online. That's a possibility, but that's kind of a smaller segment of it.
Yeah, that wouldn't cost nearly as much as these other
were you talking $50,000? What was that? 50?
Well, I don't have a firm quote, and then if Carla did
Yeah,
her.
she's got a lot of stuff she probably needs to scan too, don't you?
We have stuff too.
So there's a lot. You could probably spend 150,000.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, would 100,000 do
maybe
much
if you-
for all the departments, or?
You want it, all I know is I want it searchable.
Yeah.
So it has tags in it. And you'll be able to just search it out and find it quickly.
Mhm.
Whether it's a name or a date or parcel or whatever it is. It takes some funding for that. We'd probably have at least $1 million into a facility if we were gonna build one, I'm sure, for public health.
Public
I'll
health.
build a brand new one? Oh, yeah.
We'd get something out of their old one, but it's not
What is
right
it,
away.
what is it worth?
At least 200.
I was gonna say, at one time about 250 of that.
Let's say at least 200, maybe 300,
And what do we pay for the rent on the other?
400,
$425 a month.
425.
$425 a month?
So we'd save that.
Well, our building is almost 7,700 square feet on 2 levels, and that's figuring around 2 million.
This one would be on one level probably.
Unless you do storage for us,
Yeah.
because that's the main reason we do have that up there, and then because of the.
How many square feet you got there? Is it 22 wide? Because it's 2 rooms wide in the front, kind of.
Which building are you
Yeah.
talking about, Terry?
Mark Johnson's.
Johnson, old,
Yeah, it's not very deep, I don't know.
yeah,
Only
It's
half,
not, yeah, it's not a full
Yeah,
100
it's
some
only-
feet, it's
only half the lot.
probably 60 some foot, but I could probably look it up.
I have no idea.
I wasn't here for the last meeting I sent to Eric, but we also had talked about the idea of like air quality improvements in our shops, or maybe asbestos abatement. Does any of that fit into?
Air quality fits in with the ARPA thing.
Even if it's not in a public health facility?
Yes.
I wonder about
Anywhere where there's
this building,
workers.
too.
Yeah, I mean, we have at times probably pretty terrible air quality at our shops when machines are running and humidity is really poor in the winter too, so.
Is there, for like when they're running machines, do they have, like, some of them have the big flex tubes that come down and you can put it over the exhaust to get most of it at least, they got a vacuum on them.
We don't
I
have
don't
that,
have anything like that.
no. Asbestos removal is air quality related in my mind. That's another thing we have out there.
Well, asbestos removal, you don't have anybody around when you're removing it. Usually asbestos is okay until you disturb it somehow.
We think so, but like in our Fort City shop, it's disturbed by kind of operations, like our, you know, just the, like, what I'm told is the vibrations of the crane and equipment and stuff makes particles fall from the ceiling, which is where the asbestos is. So I don't really like that.
Julie, do
I'd
you
like
have-
to look into it.
do you have the back room too?
Yes.
Okay. You say you haven't got the costs on what something like that
No,
would be yet?
but I can work on that.
2,400 square feet in your building.
I thought it was in her existing building.
My existing
Yeah, the
building.
rented one is 1320. So the parts, you got one office and one front room kinda, or,
And the rented,
so you got
yep, Ron's in his own office, and,
the family?
the Healthy Families First Steps is in the other office, and then in the back is storage.
Okay.
For our equipment, some files, under lock and key.
So just with the existing needs, you know, you're gonna need, 4,000, and plus you wanna spread out your nurses and more area for vaccinations.
Mhm.
So you're probably looking at least 6,000,
Plus veterans are there. They're kind of off on their own.
but
They're shut off,
They're
so they're-
included in the existing.
Yep, they're
2,400.
included in the existing building, yep.
So we'd like to design it to where they still have their own entrance and,
And I think them being there has helped us, plus helped them. Because when I started, we only had probably 8 to 10 vets. And now I'm up to at least 25, maybe 30. Mhm.
So does it have to be in Forest City? Your facility? Can it be out in the country? What, I mean, if everybody was together, if Healthy Family and Ron and vets and you were all in the same building, does it all have to be in this town, in this city?
Not necessarily, but,
It's handier.
it would be handier. It's kind of like putting the jail in Thompson. There's, it's kind of the center is kind of nice, but at the same time, 60% of the people that were incarcerated in the jail usually came from Fort City. That was the number I was given at one time. So I would guess that, you know, the lion's share of the population is right here, so.
I would say half the population is either in Fort City or around the Fort City rural area.
It's just nice too for, like, when she brings claims and payroll and
And then you've
not
got,
to drive a half an hour or whatever, but
you got the pharmacies here and all that stuff. There's nothing in the, is there a pharmacy in Lake Mills?
yeah.
There is.
Is there one in Buffalo?
No. There's a lot of rural clients that are not, say, in a town.
Right.
They're out in the,
Right.
out in the country.
What if you had a centrally located building in Winnebago on a state highway?
Yeah, that's one we've been thinking about before.
Next year.
You know, it
Place.
kind of makes sense because it's right in the center. And it's not that far from Fort City, but it's still,
That was where I was
5
going
minutes,
with my
I suppose.
questions.
Is that the one that's north?
it's one right on the Y out there. The old Pioneer Seed Building.
Oh, yeah, that's not the one.
Which would take a lot of work as well,
Yeah,
but the
that's-
square
You've got
footage
you've got a
is,
shell, but that's about it.
right, but the square footage is there and.
You're gonna spend money on sewer and probably expanding the water, I'm not sure. Probably not a lot of,
Probably not the water.
is it big enough?
Well.
Yeah.
I would expect it would be, honestly. But it's a good question. Definitely septic system would need to be.
Yeah.
I just think it's good to be looking at the big picture, and if we can consolidate all of the, services in one more central spot, a real possibility.
I don't mean to push things along here, but I have absentee people coming in this room at 10 o'clock.
Oh,
Oh, really? Oh, we
Okay.
can enjoy our meeting then.
well, we'll just move it forward. I think if everyone would put their best case scenario for their departments and submitted it, actually had it in writing, so we could see, Chris, that you know, and think rationally that we could get it started, a good start on it with $50,000, but of course 75 would be better. But, you know, let's,
Like a realistic.
something realistic from each of the areas, and if you can find out what air quality in your building's got, you know, I just think really, if we could just start getting a list, and then we can really look at it and try to make some
There's
decisions.
people that could come in and do the asbestos testing in the air. We did that once when I was out in California. There was some theory of asbestos ceiling that was removed. And they came in and tested it, and it actually, even though I removed the sealing material, and sprayed it with water and scraped it off. When they tested the inside, it was actually less than the outside. So it's not necessarily always as bad as what it may seem.
We have certified testers on staff, so we'll just take a tour around the building and test everything and see if we can't get a handle on
You
what
have,
the
you have a
air.
way of testing the air.
Not the air, we'll have to get a service to do that.
When
I
you're
think-
testing it, make sure you have something running in there that's creating the vibration to see what happens.
Yeah, it probably would take, weeks or months to get a full cycle of what the air quality does in there with humidity through the winter and, emissions from all the vehicles when they're warming up for snow and all that kind of stuff.
That kind of an air quality thing almost seems like a normal business type thing, not so much a art thing to me.
Well, we'll put put everything forward and see where we come out. You're gonna find out from Jamie Cashman's, answer your questions. All right, anything else on that? Move on.
Thanks.
Scott, what do you have for road matters?
I can be quick. We'll have paving plans, check plans for the stretch of road north of the Lake Mill Shop submitted today, and then have them before the board for approval probably next week or the following. That will bid in March before. As far as maintenance goes, we got crews out ditch cleaning. They maybe have a couple weeks left until things get really too cold to do a good job. So they'll have, I don't know, a dozen spots left maybe they can get to over the next 2 weeks.
Is it mostly throwing it in the fields then?
Mostly, that's what we're trying to do. And most of the crops are out now, so that's definitely helpful. Some of the guys are hydroseeding, some are blading, some are mowing. All that's going pretty good. I feel like we've gotten the mowers around to the guys, all the guys pretty well, so they have snow traps mowed off, and we're getting ready for winter. Doing some final blading, getting rid of windrows and everything before winter.
What's the ones that had oil on their roads, what do you do this time of year with them?
Pretty much just blade through them and touch them up real good before winter.
I had one person south of Thompson that had oil on his road. He didn't want it bladed. I think they bladed it.
Yeah.
So.
Hey Carla, how many guys do you need? And when you need them by?
See what they tell us. This afternoon?
This afternoon, okay.
All right, anything else? You got any questions,
I gotta
Scott?
add it up again, I'll tell you.
I don't.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay, shoot Alex.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay.
Yep, very good.
Drainage matters.
I don't have anything.
Good, because they need our room in 10
Yep.
minutes.
That's why I thought I'd just come over. I didn't know where you were.
Perfect.
Well, it's too bad they didn't get here in time for it.
Well, they're staying in the hall.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, number 8, rescind motion from September 28th, appointing Dale Rahans medical examiner and appoint Dale Rahans medical examiner investigator. Just a terminology thing.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to rescind the motion on September 28th, appointing Dale Rayons as medical examiner.
Who made the original motion?
That's what
Oh,
wondering.
it has to be that person?
I don't know, do we have to do it that way?
I
You have to
think we
rescind
have in
the
the
motion.
past, whoever made the motion needs to probably rescind it.
Yeah, we're all in agreement, one of us made it.
Can we remember?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
All right, do you want a second of that?
I'll second.
All right, I got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to rescind the motion of September 28th, appointing Dale Rayons as medical examiner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. So now we need another motion. I'll make a motion to appoint Dale Rayons medical examiner investigator.
I'll second that.
Got a motion from Kirby and a second from Smith to appoint Dale Rayons medical examiner investigator. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Open forum.
See you.
These didn't get emailed.
Did I not do it?
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I even did 2 this
Because I
time. I
wanted
did
to
one
read-
for Becky and one for
I
me.
saw it on the agenda and then I wanted to read through it.
So
and I'm like,
sorry.
Of course,
It
it was
was,
last night.
it was late
call.
yesterday
And
afternoon.
I wasn't sure because I was having a problem with my Outlook at home.
Okay,
But then I
yeah,
looked
no,
at it
my
on phone, it
apologies.
was not there.
Nothing for me was out of the ordinary. So, and I did figure out a way to do Becky separate so she can do different reports if she needs to. So there will be 2 different packets, as they call them.
What's the 10,000 for Quam Wildlife Area? Is that drainage? This one?
Show me back in there.
Account summary.
In Fund 23. Back here. I don't remember offhand. Let me go check, okay?
Let's see, I suppose this is gonna be stamped approved. And then we gotta sign them all too, all kinds of them. Now, the first one's kind of different, it doesn't have any descriptions of what everything is.
Can I see that one more time?
Oh, she's got it.
Okay, I just didn't know who that vendor was. Thank you.
Robert, if she's still here, he probably could have told us.
Right? I don't have a GD at Better Prices. I don't even know.
That's in conservation.
Yeah.
They just bought that piece of equipment.
Oh, they did buy something and they split it between the 2 accounts. It was a 20 grand purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we
That's
paid
it?
that last week. Yeah.
'Cause I
That's
drove
correct.
by to look at that
Mm-hmm.
piece of equipment.
All
Yeah.
the one they were doing trees with.
Oh, they're using it on just the 2 properties, is that it, or why would it be attached to, you'd think it would be county conservation instead of Quam Wildlife?
That's just the account number he used.
Okay.
Why he did that, I don't know. I mean, that you would have to ask him.
Yeah.
But he
I
took
just
it out
thought it was
of, he
odd.
took it out of 2 different funds.
That's probably where the tree pressure was something. That was part of the tree pressure.
Yeah, that's been an ongoing issue there, so.
So it's either that or pay for drainage repairs.
And he would have to, yeah. Those are the ones I did the other day.
Man, I wish I could eat as good as prisoners do.
We've had a lot of prisoners.
There has been.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing if you were in there, you might not say it.
Yeah. I forget, I asked Steve Lilquist not too long ago how many they were averaging, and it's about 20.
What is?
Yeah.
Because normally it's like 15 or less, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it got down
plenty.
pretty low for a while and then
Yeah.
it picked back up. Sometimes when you're short-staffed.
Other page,
What's that?
front page.
Oh, you want it on the front page?
Mhm.
Sure. one's a little suspect. When he's trying to defraud you, at least he prints it out nice.
No, you don't wanna see.
It's at $883.
$588.64.
Oh my gosh.
Plenty.
Yeah, it's getting a little behind.
I've never done it. I'll make a motion approving the semi-monthly county claims.
I'll second that.
Got a motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to approve the semi-monthly county claims. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. I believe that ends our agenda, so we'll stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Wow, look at that. 10 o'clock on the dot. Carla, you're pretty good.
We're not out of here.
But the chair has nothing to do with that?
Nope,
Yet.
you did this one.
Terry runs it. Tight ship.
We got a little off track during the ARPA discussions.
Yeah,
That's to be expected.
I'm sorry.
It affects so many different things, though. Well.
It's still up, I just,
Sorry about that.
I logged into it this morning, so I don't know, like in between now and then, it just decides not to work.
Keeps giving this,
Yeah,
but it's logged in.
Like a message during the meeting from the Four City Vet Clinic